Okay, so I'm gonna tell this story because I'm gonna talk about this because I haven't talked about this with anyone in this way. I wanted to talk about was like losing someone very, very close to you out of nowhere and not seeing it coming and having to deal with the after effects of that. So a couple years ago I lost my grandfather, and he wasn't he was more than a grandfather to me. He was my father. My dad wasn't really in my life growing up at all, and even after my grandfather passed away, I tried to have a relationship with my father, and he died shortly after that as well. So I didn't have like a consistent father figure, and I'm not trying to cry about that. There are much worse things in life, but I'm only telling my story. This isn't for pity. This is to help people. I don't want you to pity me or anything like that. This video is only to help people and to let people that are going through similar situations know that like things get better. Things absolutely get better. After my grandfather passed away, like I said, this was like my dad. This was my best friend. I would talk to him about everything. He would just do bend over backwards for me. He was just the best person I could ever imagine in my entire life. So I was extremely, extremely depressed when my grandfather died. I literally, for 2 years after his passing, did nothing. Like, nothing. Didn't work. Didn't do anything. I sat in a dark room in my mom's house and just pretty much ate my feelings and just sat there, honestly. I wanted to literally die every day. I was so angry with myself for not being there for him when he passed away. All I could think about was all the things he had done for me over my entire life and how I couldn't even be there for him when he needed me the most, which is when he died. And it sounds so crazy because you don't know when someone's gonna die, but that's what I was rationalizing in my head. Like, how bad of a person was I to not be there for him when he needed me the most, you know? And so I just beat myself up. I didn't want to do anything. I like started drinking and I literally would get up and eat and lay in the bed and drink, and that's all I did for 2 years. For 2 years of my life. Like, I literally did that for 2 years. Gained like 40 pounds and had lost all my friends. My spirit was gone. I was of use to no one. I was a miserable, angry person. Everything, everywhere I went, everything I touched fell apart. It was horrible. I just had so many induced like reckless behaviors that I literally just did not care. I knew I didn't want to be here anymore, but I couldn't bring myself to not be here. And I don't support that, and which was the reason why I was just like, I had decided that I was just going to just be, because I couldn't do that. I was just gonna just like try to not exist as much as possible. So it's been about 3 years now, and I'm crying like as it just had, like almost like it just happened, because it does still hurt every day. It hurts so bad every day not having him. It hurts every day. There's not a moment that goes by that I don't think about him. I think about him every day, and everything that I do, I think about him deeply. I do. He's in my every fiber, everything that I breathe, everything. He's there in my mind. There's not a day that goes by, but I'm doing this video because it's probably been a solid about 5 or 6 months that I've been strong enough to move forward and live my life, because I realized that I was suffering from the guilt that I was still here and that I could still live my life and that he couldn't. I'd internalized that guilt, that it wasn't fair that I was still here and he wasn't. And then I realized that he would have wanted me to be there if I could. And I know that he knows that if I could have been there, then I would have been there for him. The thing that put me out of my depression was, instead of selfishly being in my own head about the situation, I decided to put myself in his position, which sounds so weird. It doesn't make any sense, but the people that you lose suddenly that are very close to you, you know them, and so you just have to kind of put yourself in their mindset. You know them, you know what they would want. And so in doing that for my grandfather, I realized that he would want me to continue. And this is for people that have lost best friends, have lost siblings or parents out of nowhere, whether it be to gun violence or natural causes or car accidents or anything like that. This is for people that have lost someone that has been a momentum or the mirror of their existence suddenly, without any warning or reason or understanding. The truth is, you're never gonna understand, and you have to be okay with that. And you have to understand that they would want you to be happy, and you have to keep living your life. You have to, because they will want that for you. And instead of sitting in your depression and feeling guilty that they're not here, or feeling guilty that you have opportunity to be happy and they don't because they're gone, you have to live their happiness through you. You have to do it for yourself and for them. They would want you to be happy. They would want you to be happy. You have to do it. They are still here. I had to change my thinking. I had to decide that instead of feeling sorry for them not being here, I had to feel grace and happiness for the memory and their presence, that they still are here. You have to do things that they would have loved to do, or just talk to them. It's okay to talk to yourself or to talk to them. I talk to my grandfather every day. The dog that I have that I talked to you guys about, Kiki, this dog right here, this was my grandfather's dog. And he's so old. I talk to Kiki every day about grandpa. And when my grandfather died, my dog didn't know where he was, and I was the only person that he would go to for months, almost a year after my grandfather died, because I was so close to him. That animals know, you know, like animals pick up on things, and I know he could sense that I was the closest thing to my grandfather. And so we bonded, and I do talk to Kiki a lot, and I talk to Kiku a lot as my grandfather as well, and how my grandfather would treat him so that he could still have those memories too. But you have to, it's so difficult, but I made the decision one day that I was not going to be sad. I decided to be happy. I just decided to be happy, and It was one of the hardest decisions I could make. And like I said, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about not being there, or the last time that I saw him, or if I could just, I would do anything and give anything to just spend 10 more minutes with him. But you have to make the decision to keep being happy. You cannot feel guilty for something that was out of your control. You can't. They would want you to be happy, and you need to focus on how they would want to see you happy. You know them very well, and they know you very well. So do what you know they would want you to do. And live your best life. Live your strongest life.
You can put as much baking powder in it as you want. I'm not eating it.